The naming convention for our sling line might be a bit confusing. The basis for our entire sling line starts with the MS1 sling, which has no attachment hardware included and is a basic 2-point sling system that includes our proprietary MS1 slider. We also use the term multi-mission sling system to highlight the many configurations you can create with a combination of attachment hardware. As a result, the MS1 is the one sling that becomes all of the others with the addition of adapters. At the center of everything, the MS1 slider provides rapid sling adjustments without creating tails or loops. The MS1 slider is really easy to grab and adjust even while you're wearing gloves. It also creates a lower overall profile, keeping your sling setting in place even under load. You can wear your sling loose to allow shoulder swaps and transitions, tighten it down to free up both hands, or use it for shooting support to build a stable position. The MS1 2-point sling is available with no attachment hardware, so you can choose your own. Or you can purchase some of our other versions of the sling that come with some connections and attachment points, so you've got a complete sling that's ready to use right out of the package. Which leads me to our naming convention. A few years ago, we updated our entire line of legacy MS3 and MS4 slings by updating them to include the MS1 slider and added the Gen 2 moniker. So the best way to figure out which sling does what is to follow along with me now, or to go to the website where it's laid out in a graphic to clarify what can attach to what and how. The important bit to remember is that although some slings have Gen 2 in the naming convention because they were updated, all 7 of our slings except the RLS use the MS1 slider, and they all work exactly the same regardless of whether or not they have the Gen 2 in the name. The MS1 also comes in a padded version for use with heavier firearms or for when additional comfort is desired. Our padded sling is unique in that we use a single continuously woven piece of variable width webbing with the padding slipped inside in the same way you get a ship into a bottle. This way there are no seams or rough edges to snag on the transition from the padded portion of the sling to the unpadded, which means also one less failure point. This webbing is only available from one single loom that's located in Europe, so the variable width tubular piece is the only component in the entire MS1 line that isn't made in the US. Other than the padding, the MS1 padded is a dedicated 2-point sling that works just like the MS1. All the other slings add adapters to the MS1 that allow the user to choose single point or 2-point functionality. The first of these slings is the MS3. There are 2 versions, the MS3 Sling GEN2 and the MS3 Single QD Sling GEN2. In both cases, the sling itself starts as an MS1 with a paraclip looped into the forward end and an MS3 adapter added to the aft end. They both come complete in the package, ready to attach and run. The difference between the 2 MS3 slings are the attachment points on the MS3 adapter. One is a second paraclip on the basic MS3, which requires loop attachment points fore and aft, and the MS3 QD requires a paraclip loop up front and a QD in the rear or on the receiver end plate. The MS3 paraclips can attach fore and aft to run as a 2-point, or they can attach at the front and at the rear of the receiver on an ASAP plate to be a 2-point that can quickly change to a single point operation. When you want to run as a single point, you just move the front paraclip back to the MS3 adapter D-ring and adjust your length. The MS3 QD works the same way, but as a QD on the adapter for use in the QD socket on your stock or a QD ASAP plate. Then the front paraclip still comes back to the D-ring for single point use, the same as the paraclip equipped MS3. The second of the MS1 derived lines is the MS4, which includes the MS4 Dual QD Sling GEN2 and the MS4 QDM Sling. The MS4 has the same functionality as the MS3, but it uses QDs in the front and the rear and a metal D-ring with 2 QD sockets built in for the switch to single point use instead of a polymer loop as the MS3 slings. The MS4 Dual QD slips with conventional QDs and the MS4 QDM slips with our QDMs. The modular part of the entire system is that we offer the sling adapters separately. So if you bought an MS1 and you decide you'd rather have an MS3, you can simply buy an MS3 adapter and an extra paraclip and you've got an MS3. It works the same way with all the other adapters to build an MS3 or MS4. Likewise, if you have one of the convertible slings and you'd like to switch to one of the other versions, you can simply swap out adapters without buying an entirely new sling. If any of this seems confusing, we've got a useful chart on all of the sling product detail pages at magpul.com that lay out your options and what sling has which attachments, and that should answer any questions that you may have. At the end of the day, if all you want to run is a 2-point sling, you could buy any one of the already mentioned slings, and you just need to make sure that the mounting hardware that attaches to your sling and the hardware that attaches to your rifle are aligned. If you want to run a single-point sling, you can buy one that's already set up for how you want to run your rifle, or you can build one up from scratch with our adapters and hardware. Now that we've covered the slings and adapters, part 3 will take a look at how we connect them to our rifle.